A young man stands on his balcony, staring at a gun lying in the street below. It belonged to a police officer who was dragged away screaming by zombies just hours ago. He needs that gun desperately. It's his only chance of survival. But between him and that weapon are dozens of undead monsters wandering the streets, hungry for flesh. He's been trapped alone in his apartment for days with no food, no help, and no hope. The walls are closing in. His mind is slipping. And now, something is pounding violently on his door. The furniture he used to barricade it is sliding across the floor. A zombie is breaking through. He has seconds to decide, stay and fight with nothing but a baseball bat, or take the most dangerous gamble of his life. He runs to the balcony and climbs over the edge, dangling from the railing high above the ground. The zombie chases him and leaps off, thinking he jumped. It crashes to the pavement below. He pulls himself back up, heart racing, barely alive. But the nightmare has only just begun. This is a story of isolation, madness, and the will to survive when the entire world has turned into flesh-eating monsters. The story begins on an ordinary morning with a young man named Jun-woo waking up in his apartment. He lives with his parents and younger sister in Seoul, Korea. Today, Jun-woo has decided to skip school completely. Instead of going to class, he plans to spend the entire day playing online video games with his friends. He's obsessed with games like PUBG and spends most of his free time in front of the computer screen. When Jun-woo wakes up, he finds a note from his mother asking him to go out and buy food and household supplies for the family. But he completely ignores the request. He's far more interested in playing games than doing errands. He sits down at his computer and logs in to play with his online friends. They chat through headsets while battling in the game, laughing and joking like any normal day. While they're playing, one of Jun-woo's gaming buddies suddenly shouts urgently through the headset. He tells everyone to turn on the TV immediately and check the news. Something serious is happening. Curious and a bit confused, Jun-woo switches on the television. A news anchor appears on screen, speaking about something important. But suddenly, the broadcast cuts off completely. The screen goes black. Jun-woo grabs his phone to check social media, but there's no signal at all. Feeling uneasy, he walks over to the window and looks outside. What he sees makes his blood run cold. People are running through the streets in complete panic. Some are attacking each other for no apparent reason. Then, to his absolute horror, he witnesses a girl viciously biting another woman in a disturbing and violent scene. Jun-woo is stunned and doesn't understand what's happening. Soon after, he hears people shouting and screaming inside his apartment building. The sounds are getting closer. He nervously peeks through the peephole in his door but sees nobody in the hallway. Just as he's about to open the door to investigate further, his neighbor suddenly bursts into the apartment without permission. The man is breathing heavily and looks terrified. He frantically tells Jun-woo that everyone outside has gone completely crazy. He explains that his own brother came into his house completely transformed into something inhuman and tried to attack him. The neighbor desperately begs Jun-woo to let him stay in the apartment for just a little while until things calm down outside. But Jun-woo refuses immediately. He tells the neighbor that if he has a problem, he should call the police instead of coming here. The neighbor tries to calm him down and makes a simpler request. He begs to just use the bathroom for a few minutes, then promises he'll leave right away. Reluctantly, Jun-woo agrees and lets him use the washroom. Meanwhile, the TV signal suddenly returns. The news reports that communication networks across the city are extremely unstable. Entire cities have descended into complete chaos due to a new and unknown infection spreading rapidly. The reporter explains that those who are infected turn into zombies, extremely violent creatures driven by an uncontrollable hunger for human flesh. Anyone who gets bitten will also turn into one of them. The symptoms include bleeding from the eyes along with extreme physical pain during the transformation. Jun-woo suddenly remembers his neighbor is still in the bathroom. Sensing terrible danger, he rushes to grab a kitchen knife for protection. The neighbor walks out slowly, covering a wound on his neck with his hand. Jun-woo raises the knife defensively, his hands shaking. The neighbor tries desperately to calm him down, insisting that he's perfectly fine and just needs to stay for 1 hour until help arrives. But Jun-woo notices fresh blood dripping from the man's hand. His panic grows. Not long after, the neighbor's eye starts bleeding. He glances at himself in the mirror and lets out a horrified, agonizing scream. His body begins convulsing violently and unnaturally. His limbs twist in impossible directions as bones crack and reform. Within seconds, he fully transforms into a zombie and lunges directly at Jun-woo, trying to bite him. Jun-woo fights back desperately, managing to shove the zombie neighbor out of the apartment. As the creature tries to force his way back inside, Jun-woo stabs him repeatedly until he can slam the door shut and lock it. Through the peephole, Jun-woo sees something even more terrifying. A massive zombie appears and begins attacking his neighbor's body, devouring it right there in the hallway. Jun-woo is in complete shock and doesn't dare make a single sound, terrified the creature might hear him and try to break in. Blood starts seeping in under the door, spreading across his floor. Frozen in absolute fear, Jun-woo drags his large refrigerator in front of the door to create a heavy barricade against any intruders. Tell me the time and country you are watching from. He rushes to the bathroom sink and splashes cold water on his face repeatedly, desperately hoping this is all just a terrible nightmare. But it isn't. Everything is horribly real. He tries calling his sister on his phone, but the network is too weak to connect. Then a text message from her finally arrives. It says not to worry about them because she's safe with their mother. The message warns him never to open the door for anyone, to make sure whatever food he has lasts as long as possible, and to divide it carefully over the coming days. She warns him to beware of the zombies because the entire city is full of them now. Jun-woo looks at a family photo on the wall, praying silently for their safety. Then he gathers all the remaining food in the house and realizes with growing dread how little is actually left. Deep regret fills him. He should have listened to his mother and gone shopping when she asked. Exhausted and overwhelmed, he falls asleep on the couch. The next morning, the news reports that the outbreak is getting much worse. More people are turning into zombies every hour. A reporter asks a medical doctor what people should do to survive. The doctor replies seriously that zombies become extremely violent and completely unpredictable. Everyone must stay inside their homes, lock all doors and windows securely, and store enough food for at least 2 months. Absolutely no one should leave their homes until further notice from authorities. Jun-woo sees people online posting photos with their names and home addresses written on paper, desperately begging the army and police for rescue. Inspired by this, he writes his own details on a piece of paper, takes a photo, and uploads it online in hopes that someone will come to save him. He watches a video someone posted online of a person stepping out onto their balcony, holding up their phone high in the air, trying to catch a signal. The person succeeds in getting a connection. But then they lose their balance and fall from the balcony to their death below. This gives Jun-woo a dangerous but clever idea. He attaches his phone to a drone he owns and connects it to his VR goggles so he can control it remotely. He flies the drone high into the sky, surveying the destroyed buildings and wandering zombies in the streets below. He flies it even higher, desperately searching for a signal. It works. He gets 1 bar of connection and quickly tries to call his sister. But just as the call is about to go through, the drone's battery dies completely. It crashes to the ground, taking his phone down with it and destroying his only connection to the outside world. Complete hopelessness consumes Jun-woo. He slumps down at his computer desk and tries to play games to pass the time and distract himself, but the internet network is still down. That night, he hears strange noises coming from the street below. He carefully peeks out of his window to see what's happening. Suddenly, a gunshot narrowly misses his head, shattering glass near him. Outside in the street, a female police officer is desperately trying to fend off a massive horde of zombies. She's firing her gun repeatedly, but she's running out of bullets fast. With shaking hands, she loads her last magazine into the weapon, but it's clearly not enough ammunition. Just before the zombies reach her and tear her apart, she tries to turn the gun on herself to avoid becoming one of them. But the gun jams and fails to fire. The weapon drops from her hands and clatters across the street. The zombies drag her away screaming into the darkness. Jun-woo witnesses the entire horrific scene from his window. He sets his sights on the fallen gun lying in the street below. He needs that weapon desperately to protect himself if zombies break into his apartment. But before he can think of a plan, loud banging suddenly starts at his door. Someone or something is trying to break in. He grabs his baseball bat and braces himself for impact. The pounding is so strong and violent that the refrigerator blocking the door begins to shift and slide across the floor. To his absolute horror, a zombie emerges from behind it and starts crawling toward him. Jun-woo realizes he can't fight off the zombie for long with just a bat. His mind races for a solution. He makes a bold and extremely dangerous decision. He runs toward the balcony and climbs over the railing. He pretends to jump off the building to his death below. But in reality, he just hangs off the edge of the balcony, clinging tightly to the metal bars with all his strength. The zombie chasing him sees what it thinks is Jun-woo jumping and leaps off the balcony right after him without hesitation. But the zombie actually falls all the way down and crashes to the pavement below, its body destroyed on impact. Jun-woo carefully pulls himself back up onto the balcony, breathing heavily. He looks down and sees the zombie's broken body lying motionless in the street. From his high vantage point, he spots a massive horde of zombies roaming through the streets below like a slow-moving wave of death. Among them, he notices the same police officer from earlier who has now turned into a zombie herself. Jun-woo quickly goes back inside his apartment and nails wooden planks across the door to prevent any more zombies from breaking in. As he looks around assessing the damage inside, Junwoo sees that all the food he had left has spilled out of the refrigerator during the earlier attack. Everything is scattered and ruined on the floor. He feels absolutely crushed. This was the last of his supplies and now it's gone. Just then, he hears a woman screaming somewhere in the street below. He grabs his tablet device and starts recording a video message. He says into the camera that this is his second day locked inside the house completely alone. He doesn't know what to do anymore. He feels like it's an absolute miracle he's still alive at all. After 7 long days of being trapped with no contact with anyone, Junwoo pulls out his late father's alcohol bottle from a cabinet. There's nothing else left to drink in the entire apartment. We see that he's covered the entire balcony with sheets and fabric barriers so zombies walking below can't spot him up there. He continues watching the news, which shows endless scenes of zombies flooding the streets in every part of the city. He prepares his last package of instant noodles and sits down to eat. But he accidentally knocks over his water bottle, spilling his last bit of clean drinking water all over the floor. Furious at himself for being so careless, he's forced to lick the spilled water off the dirty floor just to stay hydrated. Despite these horrible circumstances, Junwoo still refuses to leave the house, even though he desperately wants to retrieve that fallen police officer's gun from the street. When he turns on the TV again, it's playing the exact same broadcast as before. No progress, no solution, no rescue. The announcers still urge people to stay indoors and wait. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. More days pass with absolutely no updates or help. Junwoo begins drinking his father's alcohol more and more frequently to numb the pain and fear. Eventually, he gets completely drunk and starts dancing aimlessly around the apartment in an intoxicated state, laughing and crying at the same time. In his severe intoxication, he starts having vivid hallucinations that his family has returned home safely. He sees his mother standing in the room and runs to hug her tightly, tears streaming down his face. But then he snaps out of the hallucination and realizes it was all in his imagination. Nobody is there. He's completely alone. He breaks down in tears from emotional exhaustion, dehydration, and the crushing loneliness. Later, Junwoo receives a voice message notification from his mother on his phone. Desperate to hear her voice, he climbs out the window dangerously, trying to catch a signal. The risky plan works. He manages to get a weak connection and his mother's voice message plays. But what he hears absolutely shatters his heart into pieces. His mother's panicked voice says they are at a place called the Outbreak Company building. Zombies are breaking into their location. Then he hears both his mother and his sister screaming in terror as zombies attack them. The line goes completely dead. Junwoo cries hysterically, consumed by helplessness and burning rage. In a fit of complete madness, he smashes everything around him in the apartment, including the television and furniture. He finally snaps mentally. Completely unhinged and no longer caring about his own safety, he runs outside into the hallway and takes down the zombie at his door. Then he begins screaming and raging in the street below like a wild animal. He sees his former neighbor, now fully zombified, feasting on a corpse in the street. The zombie starts approaching him slowly. Junwoo screams at him to back off. Unfortunately, all the noise draws the attention of many nearby zombies who turn and start running toward him. Junwoo sprints desperately toward the elevator, hoping to escape quickly. But when the elevator doors open, there's another zombie waiting inside. He quickly runs away in another direction and finds a place to hide, holding his breath and staying completely silent. Eventually, he manages to sneak back toward his apartment building. But a blind zombie is following right behind him, tracking him by sound. Junwoo stays perfectly still and completely silent, not moving a single muscle. Luckily, the blind zombie passes by without noticing him and continues walking down the hallway. Junwoo finally makes it back into his apartment safely. But the sound of him locking the door loudly draws the zombies' attention once again. They begin pounding violently on his door from outside. Junwoo holds the doorknob tightly with both hands, using all his strength to resist their pushing. He holds on desperately until the zombies eventually give up and walk away. 20 full days have now passed since the outbreak began. Junwoo has finished drinking all the alcohol in the apartment. There's absolutely nothing left. He looks outside his window and sees electrical substations exploding in the distance, sending sparks into the sky. Soon after, the entire apartment building loses all power. The lights go out permanently. Complete hopelessness sets in as Junwoo realizes there's no rescue coming. He picks up his camera to make one last video message to whoever might find it, but he can't even speak a single word. His voice is gone. Emotionally destroyed and seeing no way out, he makes a final decision to end his suffering. He ties a rope and prepares to hang himself from the ceiling. As he kicks away the chair and begins to lose consciousness, a red laser light suddenly shines on him from the apartment building across the street. The laser pointer moves to a white board that someone is holding up. Written on it in large letters is a single word, No. Jun-woo snaps out of his suicide attempt at the last second and unhooks himself from the rope, gasping for air. It turns out a woman living in the neighboring building named Kim Yoo-bin had been watching and spotted him just in time. She was trying desperately to stop him with her laser pointer. She continues signaling to him using different boards with written messages on them. She asks him not to speak aloud because the noise will alert the zombies below. They agree to communicate using only hand gestures and written signs. She writes that he's an idiot for thinking about ending his life. They agree to meet at their windows every morning at exactly 7 o'clock. Jun-woo smiles for the first time in weeks. He's found another survivor and hope slowly returns to his heart. We see Kim in her own apartment. She has set up clever traps by all the doors and keeps various weapons close by for protection. Fortunately, she still has a decent amount of food supplies stored. The next morning, Jun-woo wakes up and realizes with panic that he overslept. He rushes to the window but doesn't see Kim there yet. Kim soon appears, cautiously checking the area around her window before stepping into view. She scolds him through hand signals for being late to their meeting. He apologizes repeatedly. They introduce themselves properly using written signs. Suddenly, Kim spots a zombie inside her own apartment. She signals to Jun-woo that they'll meet again tomorrow at 7. She returns inside and sees the zombie caught in one of her traps, hanging helplessly from the ceiling. Calmly and without hesitation, she grabs a heavy hammer and takes care of it quickly. That night, it starts raining heavily. Both Jun-woo and Kim immediately take the opportunity to collect precious rainwater using every cup, bowl, and container they can find in their apartments. The next morning, Jun-woo shows up at the window clearly starving and weak. Kim notices his terrible condition and decides she must send him food somehow. She tries to toss him a ball attached to a rope so they can build a supply line between the two apartments. But the throw fails. The distance between the buildings is too great and the ball falls short. Let me know in the comments which survival movie I should cover next. Then Jun-woo remembers he has a second drone. This time he ties a strong rope to it securely. He flies the drone carefully across the gap to Kim's apartment, successfully connecting a line between their two windows. Kim ties a bag of food to the rope and sends it sliding across to Jun-woo. He's absolutely overjoyed when he receives it and thanks her sincerely through the window. But his happiness quickly turns to panic when he notices a catastrophe unfolding below. One of the zombies wandering in the street has grabbed onto the rope hanging down. The creature is now tugging on it with incredible force. The heavy table anchoring the rope on Kim's side begins to slide dangerously across her floor, dragging her along with it. Kim struggles to hold on but gets pulled hard. She hits her head on the window frame and falls unconscious. The table ends up hanging right outside her window. The zombie takes advantage of the situation and begins climbing the rope toward her apartment like a professional climber. Jun-woo watches in horror, desperate to do something to save her. He starts throwing bottles and objects at the zombie to stop it, but they don't reach far enough. The creature keeps climbing steadily upward, getting closer to Kim's window with every second. Thinking quickly, Jun-woo launches his drone again and flies it directly toward the climbing zombie. He circles the drone around the creature's head repeatedly, trying to distract and disorient it. The plan works perfectly. The zombie becomes confused and stops climbing, swiping at the annoying drone buzzing near its face. Meanwhile, a larger group of zombies begins surrounding Jun-woo's building below, attempting to break through the main entrance. The zombie on the rope finally grabs the drone and crushes it. But just as it's about to reach Kim's window and climb inside, Kim regains consciousness. She quickly grabs a sharp weapon and cuts off the zombie's hand completely. The creature loses its grip and falls all the way down to the street, landing with a sickening crash. The zombies below scream in frustration and rage at her window. Meanwhile, Jun-woo wraps duct tape tightly around his shoes to completely muffle the sound of his footsteps. He grabs a stick as a weapon and carefully sneaks out of his apartment. In the hallway, he spots part of his former neighbor's body still lying on the ground. He takes the neighbor's keys from the corpse and uses them to break into the apartment next door. Inside, he heads straight to the refrigerator and takes all the food he can possibly carry. In one of the bedrooms, he finds a woman's corpse lying completely motionless on the bed. He cautiously checks if she's truly gone or just unconscious. Suddenly, an infected zombie lunges at him violently from behind a door. Jun-woo uses the dead body as a shield and manages to escape, running for his life back to his own apartment. Relieved to be safe again, Jun-woo enjoys the food he collected. He also found walkie-talkies in the other apartment. He prepares a portion of food in one of the walkie-talkies to send to Kim using their rope system. The next day, they communicate through the walkie-talkies for the first time. Jun-woo is absolutely thrilled to finally talk to another human being again after so long. Kim thanks him genuinely for the food, admitting she ate everything immediately because she was so hungry. Junwoo responds that he should be the one thanking her because she saved his life when he was about to give up. But Kim humbly replies that she didn't really save his life at all. She says he wanted to live and she just gave him a reason to hold on a little longer. Junwoo smiles warmly and tells her that either way, if it weren't for her, he wouldn't still be here right now. They change the subject and begin cooking at the same time in their separate apartments, sharing casual conversations throughout the day. They slowly get to know each other better. Kim confesses she's actually afraid of heights, which surprises Junwoo. He says with amazement, how can a woman who chopped off a zombie's hand without hesitation be afraid of something like heights? Kim laughs and explains that she doesn't think of the zombies as people anymore. That's why it was easy for her to do what she had to do to survive. Suddenly, both of them hear what sounds like heavy rain starting outside. They get excited to collect more water. But they quickly realize it's not rain at all. It's the terrifying sound of a massive horde of zombies running toward their buildings. Panicked, both Junwoo and Kim immediately drop to the ground, trying desperately not to make any sound that would attract attention. But Kim accidentally knocks over a table in her rush. The loud crash echoes through the building. The noise draws all the zombies directly toward Kim's apartment. Terrified, she frantically radios Junwoo and tells him what just happened. Junwoo doesn't hesitate for a second. He quickly comes up with a distraction plan to save her. He calls the landline phone of another apartment in Kim's building. The loud ringing sound draws the zombie horde away from Kim's door, buying her precious time. The two then have a serious conversation and agree it's time to leave the buildings and find a safer place to hide. Kim tells him she's been carefully observing a specific building nearby for many days. She believes the 8th floor of that building is completely clear of zombies because she hasn't seen any movement there at all. Determined to take the risk, Kim decides she'll go first and scout the route. She ties a rope securely around herself and bravely climbs out the window. On her dangerous journey down the side of the building, she encounters several zombies trying to grab her. But she fights them off efficiently with precision, using her weapons and sheer determination to survive. Despite their numbers, she handles them like a trained fighter. Junwoo watches from his window in complete awe of her courage and skill. Kim successfully makes it to the ground and immediately runs to retrieve the gun that's been lying in the street this entire time. But just as she grabs it, a zombie is about to bite her from behind. Junwoo sees the danger and rushes down from his apartment to join the battle. Together, they fight side by side for the first time, fending off the creatures surrounding them. They manage to break free from the horde and run desperately toward the building Kim mentioned earlier. Once inside the lobby, they slam the door shut behind them. But the glass is weak and definitely won't hold the zombies back for long. The creatures begin smashing it violently with their fists. Junwoo and Kim quickly rush to the elevator and barely make it inside before the zombies break through completely. They press the button for the 8th floor and enjoy a brief moment of safety as they ride up. When they reach the 8th floor, they cautiously step out and begin inspecting the hallway. There's absolutely no sign of any zombies anywhere. They try opening some of the apartment doors, but every single one is locked from the inside. Then they suddenly see a zombie approaching slowly from behind them in the hallway. Within seconds, an entire army of zombies appears from different directions, surrounding them completely. Junwoo quickly slams down a large metal security gate across the hallway to delay the massive horde, buying them valuable time. He begins fighting them off while Kim desperately tries different apartment doors. Eventually, Kim manages to force open the door of one apartment. But suddenly, someone from inside grabs her arm and pulls her in forcefully. That person immediately throws a smoke grenade into the hallway to cover their movement and yells for Junwoo to follow quickly. Junwoo rushes inside just in time and they slam the door shut. For a brief moment, they find safety and catch their breath. But Kim is immediately suspicious of this stranger and asks cautiously who he is. The man introduces himself as Sun and says somewhat arrogantly that they should be thanking him for saving their lives. Kim is still confused and says she was absolutely sure no one was living on the 8th floor based on her observations. Sun responds that he thought he was the only person alive in this entire area of the city. He offers them some water from a bottle, but Kim hesitates and refuses to drink it. She doesn't trust him at all. Sun then drinks from the same bottle himself to prove it's safe. Only after seeing this does Kim feel comfortable enough to drink as well. Sun also offers them food, saying casually that they should eat while they wait for the rescue team to arrive. Both Junwoo and Kim are absolutely shocked and filled with hope to hear that a rescue team is actually coming. Sun explains that he saw the announcement on TV. Junwoo, completely overwhelmed with joy and relief, hugs Kim tightly, feeling that they finally have a real chance to survive and escape this nightmare. But just a few minutes after eating the food Sun provided, Junwoo suddenly collapses to the floor unconscious. It turns out Sun had secretly laced the food with strong sedatives to drug them. Kim doesn't have time to react or fight back. She too collapses within seconds. Sun drags Kim's unconscious body across the floor into another room, ties her up with rope, and locks her inside alone. When Kim finally regains consciousness, she finds herself face to face with a zombie chained to the wall beside her. The creature is snarling and reaching for her. Then she hears Sun's disturbing voice coming from behind the locked door. He starts slowly releasing the chain holding the zombie back, letting it get closer to Kim. Shockingly, Sun reveals the horrible truth about his plan. This zombie used to be his wife before she got infected. He's been keeping her locked up here, unable to accept that she's gone. He wants to feed her living humans so she can somehow survive. That's why he locked Kim inside this room. He's offering her as food to his undead wife, believing it will somehow keep her alive. At that exact moment, Junwoo wakes up from the drugs and immediately aims the gun they recovered at Sun, calling him an absolute monster. Sun, desperate and clearly insane, tries to justify his actions. He says he's just trying to save his wife from completely fading away. He then fully releases the zombie's chain and turns to Junwoo with a terrible offer. He tells Junwoo that if he lets the zombie eat Kim, Sun will spare his life. He even promises to give Junwoo all the food and supplies he wants. He desperately pleads with Junwoo to agree to this horrific deal. But Junwoo refuses and struggles desperately to hold onto the chain. It slips from his shaking hands and the zombie moves closer and closer to Kim, who screams in absolute terror. Junwoo tries frantically to break down the locked door to save her, but it won't budge. Sun falls to the ground, sobbing. Then suddenly, Kim's screams stop completely. Thinking it's over and his wife has fed, Sun opens the door to check on the situation. But the moment he does, his zombie wife turns on him instead and viciously attacks her own husband. In that crucial moment of chaos, Kim grabs the gun from where it fell and aims it at both of them. Sun does nothing to save himself. He simply allows himself to be attacked, whispering that he wants to let her feed. He's offering himself willingly to be with her. Kim, left with absolutely no other choice to save herself and Junwoo, pulls the trigger and stops both Sun and the zombie permanently. But the loud gunfire echoes throughout the entire building. Every zombie in the area hears the unmistakable sound. They all begin swarming toward the apartment from every direction. Kim and Junwoo hear the terrible growls and heavy pounding footsteps getting closer. Absolute dread sets in. They genuinely fear this is truly the end for both of them. Kim hands the gun to Junwoo with tears in her eyes and pleads desperately for him to shoot her so she doesn't have to become one of those things. Junwoo is shocked and crying, completely unable to do what she's asking. But before he can make any decision, they suddenly hear an unexpected sound cutting through the chaos, helicopters flying overhead. They rush to the nearest window and spot military helicopters circling the area. Moving quickly, they run toward the building's rooftop, throwing smoke grenades as signals to the pilots and fighting off approaching zombies along the way. As they climb the stairs desperately, Kim slips on debris and falls hard. But Junwoo catches her just in time and shouts for her to go up first and try to stop the helicopter from leaving. She reaches the rooftop and waves frantically at the sky. But by the time Junwoo follows and locks the heavy rooftop door behind him, the helicopters are already flying away into the distance. They didn't see them. Junwoo stands frozen in complete disbelief. He screams desperately, pleading for help from anyone who might still be able to hear them. The zombies finally break through the rooftop door and charge toward them in a massive wave. Junwoo fires the gun repeatedly with the last of their bullets, taking down as many as he can. But then the weapon clicks empty. There's nothing left. Just as they brace themselves for certain death, a military helicopter suddenly appears from behind a building and opens heavy fire on the zombie horde. The soldiers systematically shoot every single zombie on the rooftop, clearing the area completely. They call out loudly for Junwoo and Kim, who can barely believe what's happening. The two survivors quickly climb aboard the helicopter as it hovers just above the rooftop. The aircraft lifts off smoothly into the sky. They're finally safe after weeks of absolute hell. As they fly over the completely ruined city below, they hear a radio broadcast announcement. The voice states that over 50,000 people have been infected across Seoul. The city has become almost entirely uninhabited. Then the broadcast mentions something that fills Junwoo's heart with emotion. The military discovered his exact location, thanks to the photo with his address that he uploaded online weeks ago when this nightmare first began. His desperate cry for help actually worked. And with that realization, the story comes to an end.